the Cuisinart Chef's Convection Toaster Oven. And it's an air fryer too, believe me. I'm Darnell with Wave Oven Recipes. We're going to get started right now unboxing it. Alright, so you can see the box that comes within the box. Sometimes you never know if there's another box inside or not, but we'll get things out of this box here now. Alright, so there it is. Just going to get this promotional sticker stuff off of it. Now I just want to show you real quick around back. As you see, it's got a two-prong power cord. That's just a two-prong power cord. It's got this cord management feature on the back just to kind of help you manage the cord. Place you can wrap the cord up if you got to store it away. So taking you inside the cooker, basically you see inside here there are two heating elements on the bottom. Up top there should be three heating elements. Sorry about the autofocus having to adjust. But yes, there are one, two, three heating elements at the top. The air fryer fan is over here on the side. Well, actually, this is a convection toaster oven. Back when this was made, and we'll get into it more later, they didn't call it an air fryer, but we'll talk about that more later. But that is what you would call your air fryer fan right there. That's your fan. And so, you know, it's pretty spacious in there. So let's talk about this some more. So I'll just be checking my notes to ensure that I don't miss anything that I want to tell you about this cooker. But it has 1800 watts of power. So this is a powerful cooker to begin with. This is more powerful than many air fryers many of you have been using. So, you know, it only has a two-prong cord, so with 1800 watts of power, it's not grounded. That is an interesting thing that you don't have a grounding wire, but we'll see if that's all good and okay. You know, as long as it doesn't burn up my house or something, I think we'll be okay. But it weighs in at 32 pounds, so it's not the lightest of cookers, but it is a large convection toaster oven. It has 0.95 cubic feet of capacity. Now, that much capacity is just under the 1 cubic feet of something like the NuWave Bravo XL Smart Oven Air Fryer. But it's in that range, you know, just, you know, a little bit under, but within that range. So it's a larger size convection toaster oven type of cooker, and as I will show, it is an air fryer. Its temperature ranges are 150 degrees to 450, or you could say 500 degrees. Because it has a broil function that I'll be showing you later. And with it having a minimum of just 150, there's a lot of types of dehydration you may not be able to do, not being able to go below 150, but a minimum of 150 will allow you to do maybe some forms of dehydration that would dehydrate at slightly higher temperatures. But you're definitely not going to be doing any proofing of dough in here. I mean, it's definitely too hot at 150 to do any proofing of dough. Now, talking about it being an air fryer, in my opinion, this is an air fryer convection toaster oven that's a victim of its old school naming. It's just a victim of time when it was released. So think about this for a moment. The Cuisinart digital air fryer toaster oven was first released, according to Conair Cuisinart, and I asked them directly, was first released in Q3 of 2017, the third quarter of 2017. Is when their digital air fryer toaster oven was released, and their regular air fryer toaster oven, both the digital and the regular air fryer toaster oven, which are wildly popular air fryers, were both released in Q3 2017. Well, the Cuisinart Chef's Convection Toaster Oven, this unit right here, according to them, was manufactured in 2014. They couldn't even tell me exactly when it was first released. They didn't even have that information. And sites like Amazon, even though they show a date that it's first listed there, that's not the first date that something was released and marketed, so that's not reliable. But Cuisinart tells me it was manufactured in 2014. So having been manufactured that long ago, the term air fryer wasn't the big buzz marketing term that it is now. But air fryers, keep in mind, are convection ovens. they just use a convection fan, a high-speed convection fan. This cooker, likewise, has a speed convection function, and that's key when air frying. This has a speed convection function built in. It was just called speed convection. It wasn't called air fry, but it's built in there, so it can do the job. They didn't give, as far as accessories, and I'll go through that, they didn't give an air fry basket because that type of thing wasn't the in thing back then, but I'll show you how we'll compensate for that and still be able to do air frying anyway. But basically this is an air fryer that's just a victim of its naming, and so a lot of people overlook this cooker, and you're overlooking a nice air fryer convection toaster oven that doesn't cost a lot of money. You compare this to a lot of others, it's got a nice large size and a very nice price if you're looking for a good deal. Now, even though they didn't include an air fryer basket, they include a ton of accessories I'm going to go over here with you. So just going to basically be unpackaging these and showing you all these accessories. You'll probably be pretty impressed with all the accessories they give. So it comes with 2 racks, and basically, you know, you can use 2 at the same time. They even say that you can cook 2 cakes at, you know, like 2 cake pans at the same time if you're doing like a 2-layer cake. And so they have 4 rack levels that you can use. So I'm putting one on the lowest rack level and one on the third one up, and I'm going to show you something. Just watch what happens to these racks as I open. You see how the upper rack pops out? The lower one stays in, but the upper 2 racks are supposed to automatically pop out when you bring the rack out. So I'm putting one up on the highest rack level. Now I've got them both on the highest 2 racks. And this one, well, the upper one doesn't pop out. I thought they said that the upper one would also pop out, but it doesn't. So it's just the 3rd rack level that pops out. The one that's up highest just stays as is. Now something else that they give you, and I'm going to just put the rack down on the lowest level for this one to show you. They give you a pizza stone with the cooker. It's included. I mean, it's standard issue with this cooker. So that's pretty cool. A nice large pizza stone. It fits right in there like that. And you can, you know, get your pizza out off the stone. If you're wondering about the size of that pizza stone, we're going to measure it right now. So it measures 13 inches. 13-inch pizza stone comes with the cooker. How many cookers out there come standard issue with a pizza stone? Some might throw in an accessory pack or something after the fact in a special promotion, but not many give you the pizza stone with the cooker. And I think I had this rack, when I put the pizza stone in, I put it in kind of awkward. I didn't put it in on the lowest rack level right. And that's how it should look when you put it in right, and you put your pizza stone in just like so, like this here. So gotta make sure that pizza stone is further back, and then it closes up. Fits perfect. I'm just going to move the rack up just one level, and I'm going to show you the next accessory. It comes with a baking pan and a grill plate. So you can put your grill plate in your baking pan when you're doing something that you want to grill. You might want to put it up higher, but if you're just going to bake, you could just use the baking pan and just slide that on in there and do your baking. Let's see how big this baking pan is. This baking pan is a little over 13 inches. It's not 14, it's about 13 and a half inches of baking pan there. That's pretty nice. Now I've got a couple of things of my own here I just want to show you, just to show, you know, what fits and doesn't fit. This is a 13-inch baking pan with no handles. Of course, it's going to fit just fine. This is a nice baking pan here, and it fits. This is a 13-inch baking pan with handles. So when you try and get that in, of course those handles will get in your way. So you want to make sure you don't have handles with any 13-inch baking pan that you want to put in if you're not using theirs. Now I just want to show you the documentation. They have like a quick start guide, like English and Spanish, how to register your product. They've got a manual here. It has English and Spanish. That's the Spanish side. That's the English side. And I want to show you in the manual, when you go back to about page 15 in the manual, everything from page 15 on through about page 36 are recipes. And so I just want to show you, they give you a whole bunch of recipes to work with a lot of different options and things to try cooking up. So a lot of good variety, and usually Cuisinart tests out their recipes pretty well. Now I've got you in close again because I want to do a little overview of the buttons and knobs on this cooker. There's this selector knob. This is where you do a lot of your options and selections for different types of cooks, and we'll go through all those in a bit. But it also has a button that presses in to select different selections, and we'll go through how to use that. You see on the racks, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 to tell you the different rack levels so that you easily know which rack level to use based on if you're using a recipe or you just want to remember. There's this add 30 seconds button. Before a cook ends, you can add 30 seconds, but you got to do it before the cook ends. You can just hit plus 30, and you can use that up to 2 times to add up to a minute. There's a convection button to add convection cooking, which works with just about every cooking option. You can add convection fan speed. There's the light, just to turn on the interior light for a couple minutes. There's the speed convection. This is the one that I was saying is key. This is basically what you should think of basically as like air fryer button. You know, there's convection speed and speed convection. Most air fryers sold today don't allow you to adjust the speed of the fan, but this one, having convection and speed convection, you can basically control the fan speed. They mentioned with speed convection you can basically cook without preheating. That was the big marketing buzz thing back then. Hey, cook without preheating, use the speed convection. Well, for us today that's called air frying. So, you know, you can do the air fry thing, or if you like to preheat, and we know even though doing like air fries and other cooks without preheating works, we still know that preheating helps. Preheating still does help, so you can do preheating. Now, but if you do the speed convection button, it won't preheat at all. If you use regular convection, it can preheat. So what you can do, you can hit convection, set your temperature, and let it start, and it'll preheat to the temp, and once it's at the temp, it's ready to start cooking. You can hit speed convection, speed that fan up, and do your air frying or whatever else you want to do like an air fryer. There's the dual cook button. Dual cook allows you basically to cook using 2 different cooking stages in the same cook, and it'll remember and do them both. We'll go into that some more. And then there's the start stop button. Basically you use that to start your cook, you use that to stop your cook. That is not a pause, it's a stop. There is not a pause button. Alright, there's one other thing I forgot to show earlier, but there's a slide out crumb tray here. Slides right out from the bottom here, and so that's pretty nice. And so I want to just do some quick measurements for you, just to show you some measurements of this thing. Basically, when you open up and you go front to back, and this is using like the hump that's in the back, the kind of pizza hump in the back I like to call it, you've got about 14 inches. When you do like the pizza hump in the back, it's like 14. When you don't include that extra hump in the back, let's see what we can get without that. You're going to get 13 inches without that extra hump that's in the back for your pizza. When we go side to side is just a little over 14 inches, like maybe 14 3/4 inches or so, maybe 14 and a half, about 14 and a half inches. But I guess when you think about the rack holders and such, you might have a little less. You might have about 14 inches to almost work with there. When we go top to bottom, inside, we've got under 8 inches, 7.5 inches from top to bottom there. If we close up and we go like full from the feet of it to the top, you've got 11 inches. You go across, you've got just under 20 inches, about 20 inches, because it's got these little kind of black things on the side here, these little kind of knobs on the side there. So thinking of that, you've got, yeah, just maybe even 21 inches is what you'd want to accommodate for, including those. But outside, front to back, it's 13 inches you get 13 inches, not including the pizza hump. I guess if you add another, actually, yeah, you add another inch or so for the pizza hump, you get to about 14 inches. But then there's these little knobs on here for your cord management. And you got to think about, well, let me give it a little more of a whirl. Your cord management system here. So you got to account for those, and those stick out even farther. So when you account for those, you're looking at about 15 inches, over 14 and a half, about 15 inches that you need of clearance. But on top of that, you want to give extra clearance for this thing to breathe. As you can see, it's got air vents on the side, so you know it could get hot, and you want to make sure that you give some clearance for it to be able to ventilate. Alright, so just wanted to do a side-by-side of the Cuisinart Chef's Convection toaster oven with the NuWave Bravo XL Smart Oven Air Fryer, because if you didn't notice, this is a whole lot similar to this, and this came out way before this. But it's almost as if NuWave saw this, basically made their own, added some extra smarts to it, and said, hey, we got a new air fryer. But look at the size, very similar size. When we open up here, we can basically see that the rack size, let me just show you the rack size. I mean, pretty much the same rack. I mean, exact same rack, basically. Pretty much the same exact rack. Now, the Cuisinart didn't come with an air fryer basket, but you know, you can take the air fryer basket from something like the NuWave. You know, you could buy an air fryer basket from NuWave, pop it on in there, and bam, you've got an air fryer basket to do your air frying with. Now, something else that I wanted to compare was the baking pan. This is the baking and grill pan from the NuWave Bravo. This is the one from the Cuisinart. They're, you know, this one's been used, so of course it's more worn. But exactly the same pan, in my opinion. Exactly the same pan, exactly the same racks, basically exactly the same size. I mean, to me, they're like twins. It's just this one came out in 2014, or was manufactured in 2014, and has less features than this one has, but same thing, in my opinion. And some of you might just be wondering, well, hey, why go with this versus that, you know, one or the other? You know, that's up to you. That's up to you. I mean, you can check the price points of these two, and you can basically, you know, see what functions and features that you need. But this one here, you know, we know Cuisinart always makes a product with top quality parts, and you know, they always do a good job with whatever they make. So, you know, Cuisinart, you know, you're going to get a real top quality, reliable product without any major issues. And you know, also with this one, you've got options like a speed convection or a regular convection. You've got some other features that I'll be going into in this one that, you know, you may not have in this one. Like this one, you've got top and bottom heating element control, but you don't have it in the Cuisinart to do top and bottom heating element control. But you know, you might want to think about how often you actually need to use that. There's, you know, some different functions and features. I've already done a full review of the NuWave in another video here on this channel, but we're going to move on with the review of this Cuisinart. Alright, so now we've got side by side the Emeril Lagasse Power Air Fryer 360 XL and the Cuisinart Chef's Convection Toaster Oven. And you can see that the Emeril is a little taller, but the Cuisinart is a little wider. I know that the Emeril looks like it's, you know, bigger, but if you're trying to get like a long pan or something in, you can't get longer pans in this one. Like, for example, if I take this rack out, this rack is too wide to go into the Emeril. So, you know, if you have like a 13-inch baking pan with no handles like I showed earlier, that is going to have a little more difficulty. That pan that I showed you earlier, the steel pan, has a little more difficulty getting in here than it does in something this size. And so when you need something a little wider, this works out better than this. But if you need, you know, something taller, bigger, you know, this can work out for you a little more than the Cuisinart would. And just to show you something else, and I just wanted to point out, I did have the rack in here a little crooked earlier. but just straighten it up. Sometimes I slide them in and don't slide them in straight, but sorry about that. The air fryer basket for the Emeril Lagasse Power Air Fryer 360 XL, due to it having a shorter width, you can't use this air fryer basket in the Cuisinart. It's just, you know, not wide enough. And this is the XL. This is the Emeril Lagasse Power Air Fryer 360 XL, but it's not wide enough, and its rack's not wide enough to go in there in the Cuisinart. Alright, now we're going to do an initial plug-in here. This is a 3-foot power cord, by the way. But I'm going to plug it on in, and once you plug in, you see that the display is white and it shows a 12 o'clock time. To set the clock, you just hold this selector dial in until the time starts flashing. Now I basically set my hours, and I'm going to go to 6 p.m. Now I press in on that to confirm hours. Now it goes to minutes. I'm going to go to 03, so like 6:03 p.m. and going to press in on that to confirm the time. And that's how you set the time on the clock. Alright, so with the clock set, now we're going to do sound control. You can basically set the sound to have no sound or have soft beep or loud beep. When you do that by pressing the plus 30 seconds and convection button, and we hold those for a couple of seconds, and it goes to 1. That's the default. So that's like a kind of softer beep. You can turn it up and you get a louder beep. Now that's the normal beep. And if you turn down to 0, it's silent with no beeping at all. I'm going to turn it back to the softer beep, and you press in to confirm that there. Alright, so let's go through all of the functions that this cooker has. You can basically turn and you can see the different functions. Now the first one is toast, and you basically can press in on toast and you can do your toast shade, and I can go up to like from 1 up to 7 on shade levels, and then you press in and you can do a number of slices. I can do from as low as 1 2 slices up to 7 to 9 slices, because this can hold up to 9 slices of regular size bread, and then you could just hit start on that if you wanted to. Also, you can press in and you've got like this little snowflake on the toast option. The snowflake is if you have like frozen toast. While it's flashing, it's not going to do it as frozen. But let's go into there again. I could select that and then it goes solid, or I turn and it's like off, so like on and off on frozen, and it'll cook as if it's frozen toast, which is a pretty interesting feature to have. So I'm going to basically now go to bagel. If we go into bagel, it's kind of similar as far as the shade options, as far as the slice options. The difference between toast and bagel is that the top heating element is going to be hitting it at a different level of heat than the bottom. Basically with bagel, the bottom heats at half its usual level of heat. The top comes at full blast heat. Now I'm going to go down to waffle, and basically you can go in the waffle, similar options and features with the numbers, and also you've got that frozen option there. We'll go down into bake. Now bake, you've got temperature ranges in bake of 150 degrees Fahrenheit to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to go in here into bake, and I'm just going to go and see how far up we can go on time. On time, you see I can go no higher than 2 hours. Basically 2 hours is the max that I get. We got like from 1 minute to 2 hours on bake. Now I'm going to go down to broil. When we go into broil, you basically fixed at 500 degrees Fahrenheit. You can't change it. And you can do time on broil. Broil's letting me go up to a couple hours. Now I'm going to go down to the selection option for roast, and we go into roast, and roast allows us to cook basically from 150 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we go into roast. It looks like we have the same 2-hour time limit there. And I'm going to go down into the pizza option. Now when we do pizza, we can go in there and it shows like, you can adjust temperature. Pizza allows you a range of 350 degrees Fahrenheit to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. But when we go and click in, it gives a size. So I click and it says, hey, do you want a 12-inch pizza, 13-inch pizza, 6-inch pizza? You can do whatever size pizza you want. So let's say I had a 12-inch, and then I click. Now it's asking me, hey, is your pizza frozen? And it gives me the snowflake. I could select to that and go solid to do a frozen pizza, or turn off to do a fresh pizza. And then I click in, and it gives me a time. And I could do a certain amount of time. I can do that all the way up until 2 hours. Again, our max 2 hours. I'm going to go down into the sandwich option. Sandwich is for cooking open-faced sandwiches. You can go in, and sandwich has a range of 150 to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. You can basically, when we go in here, just do that, and I think it's got like the 2 hour limit there too. It looks like everything is the 2 hour limit. So yeah, 2 hour limit on that. We go down into the keep warm function. Keep warm is just to keep your food warm. The temperature range is 150 to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. We can go in here. We can adjust our time up to a couple of hours for that if we want. Going down into the leftover function, here you can use this to heat up your leftovers. And leftover has a range of 150 to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. You can go in there, you can adjust your time up to a couple of hours for your leftovers. And you can use the convection and speed convection buttons on every option except toast, bagel, and waffle. Now I want to show you the dual cook. Dual cook, basically you click dual cook button and it gives you an option of what do you want to start with. It says bake, broil, roast, pizza, sandwich, or keep warm. You could do something like bake and click in and do, let's say I want to do 350 degrees for an hour because I'm baking something that cooks for an hour. And then after I do that and I confirm that, it says, okay, dual cook, what do you want to do for your second function? The next one is the options based on what you cook for your first function, then it gives you options for your second. It clicked off too quick, but we'll just go back and do that again. And we'll just select that hour again, but I have to move quick or it's going to go off. So let's say I want the top broil, and I go in and I say I want to top broil for like 10 minutes. So I just go down to 10 minutes, and I can just click in on that. And after that, I can click start. Now it's starting to cook for my half hour. It's preheating though because bake has a preheat. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to check what the time is when I set a certain toast function when it's cold to see how it does from a cold start. And then we'll see once the cooker is hot, will it adjust automatically to know, hey, I'm hot, and so I don't want to burn up the toast by using the same time. So just going in, selecting on toast, and go into toast, and let's say I had 5 with 7 to 9 slices, and I press in there, and so I'm turning off of the frozen because they're not frozen, and so I hit start, and it's doing 7 minutes basically. So I'm just going to turn it off. We'll just keep that in mind for later. Alright, so now I've got my iGrill 2 hooked up with the ambient probe set on the baking rack. I've got the rack on level 2, which is usually used for baking. Going to close up, and I'm going to do a check of how long it takes to get to a certain temperature. I'm trying to get the cord in a position where you can more easily see without it blocking. But going to turn down to bake. Let's see if I can get to bake and go in. I'm going to do 450. I've got it set for like 2 hours just so it'll run a long time. And I've got the speed convection on, so like that turns speed convection off. I've got speed convection on. That's supposed to heat things up faster, so we'll see how fast it takes to get to 450 degrees right now, hitting start. And we'll see how long this goes. Alright, so we've gone, maybe somewhere around 4 minutes. I'll have an exact count on the screen, but basically it didn't take long at all to reach 450, and you see that it's going a little over 450, as I think it's probably going to try and regulate itself down a little bit. But we're at like 453, well, we're in the 470s now, and I wonder how hot it's going to get. So we'll just give it a few more minutes here, and we'll just see if it levels out or not. Wow, this is really getting really hot. I mean, 531 degrees and rising. This is like hotter than, I don't know if we've seen it won't go this far over 500, and this is at 450. This isn't even the broil setting. So this thing, you know, once it gets going, it really gets going. It, you know, now it's like 536. I mean 546. Wow, 546 is really high. So it's getting really, really hot. I wonder if it's going to hit 550. We'll just let this go for a little longer. See if it regulates down some. Well, it might be, because now it's showing like 538. So it may be regulating down some. But you see, you know, since this is an older cooker, it's not regulating heat really perfectly, but at the same time, it shows that this cooker can get very, very hot. You can do some serious air frying with that type of heat. You know, it's starting to regulate down now, you know, so that speed convection setting it to 450, it really got well over 500 degrees. It got real hot. And so that's going to be real good for things like your air frying and such that you want to cook things really hot. Pretty good stuff. Now with that, I'm going to basically stop the run of this, and I want to go into toast right away. And I'm going to go back to what I had set again, and you know, I don't want the snowflake there, but I'm going to hit start. Let's see what happens. Now it regulated down to just less than 5 minutes, so it recognizes when the cooker is hot, and it'll adjust the toast setting accordingly based on the temperature already inside the cooker. It tries not to burn your toast if things are already hot in there when you start trying to cook some toast. That's pretty good, especially from a cooker this old to be that smart. Alright, now I want to check if things auto pause when you open the door. So I'm turning back to bake and just going to get the bake with the speed convection started. So just letting that run, and while that runs, I'm going to see what happens when I open the door. Now I've opened the door, I still feel the fan and the heat going, and it's still like it's running. It hasn't, like, I don't know if it's auto pause. I'm going to just leave it open for a minute, see if the counter counts down or if it's going to just keep on running with me feeling the heat. You know, if the counter doesn't run for like a minute or two, then we know that it auto pauses. And I do notice I've got the rack on crooked again, and just keep messing up putting these racks on straight. So let's see if I can get it on straight while, and I see the counter counting down. So basically there is no pause with this cooker. You can't use, the time counted down while it was open, so it didn't pause. There's no way to really pause a cook. Now, there we go. Maybe that's how we can pause. I just press the button here, but I think that just helps you adjust time and temp. That just helps you adjust time and temp. That doesn't pause. So we know stop start doesn't pause because it stop starts. So there basically is no means to pause a cook with this cooker. You just basically, if you got to go in, you'd have to open up while everything's still running and do what you got to do, and then you could like press the button to adjust your time back if you want to, you know, adjust your time back to whatever you wanted it to be on if you lost some time doing whatever you may have been doing while the door was open. But that's something to keep in mind with this cooker. Alright, so now I'm going to do a toast test. Things are still a bit warm in there, but since it knows how to regulate itself, we'll just rely on that. But I've got my homemade bread because I don't do the store-bought bread, so this is bigger than store-bought bread, so 9 slices of this will not fit because it's too large. This is much larger than your, like I said, your store bread, but about 4 of these homemade bread slices will fit just fine. So sliding those in, and we're going to take things over to toast, and we're going to leave the shade at 5, slices 7 and 9 because we're maxing out. Hitting start, and it shows 5 minutes and like 32 seconds. So it knew that things were a little cooler than earlier, and so, you know, it just knows how to regulate and adjust itself. So we'll let this go ahead and cook, and I'll bring you back in a moment. Alright, we're coming into the final seconds, and The toast is toasting up pretty good. There's some whiffs of smoke coming out over here. So just like with like the NuWave Bravo, I think there's with this cooker it doesn't really, hold in the smoke very well, more than likely. But all the same, our toast is finished, and so you can see the toast got really well cooked all over. On a level 5 cook. That's how you get cooked, and it cooked a little more in the back than in the front, which is typical for these toaster ovens. I'm just getting these off and going to plate these, but basically you see did a pretty good job with the toasting. Alright, so now I'm going to do a quick bake test with some Crescent rolls. I'm going to get this sprayed with some cooking spray, get these rolled out and set up here. I'm going to preheat to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooking time is supposed to be 9 to 12 minutes, so we'll see how long it takes, but I'm going to go ahead and get this all set up now. I'm just going to get things preheated, so turning down to bake and press in there, go down to my 375, press in there. Cooking time, I'm just going to put it like 12 and we'll see how it does. We'll get them out, before they overheat. But I'm going to remove all the convection, so there's not going to be any convection fan going at all. I'm just doing a straight bake. And hitting start with that, it's preheating. Going to go ahead and finish getting my Crescent rolls together. Alright, so it went from preheat to ready. I didn't notice a beep or anything when it got to ready. I'm going to go ahead and put them in. I've got the rack on level 2, which is for baking. And I'm going to go ahead and close up there. And, I guess I lost a minute because I didn't notice that it went to ready. But I'm going to let it just go ahead and go. If it, in these 11 minutes, if it needs more time, I'll add it. If not, won't. But I'll bring you back and we'll see how these look. Alright, it's been 9 minutes and they look good and done to me. So I'm going to just, hit stop there. We're going to have a look. I was wondering if I should give them another moment, but they look done. So that's 9 minutes, perfectly baked Crescent rolls. Okay, so for an air fry test, we're going to do some fried pickles. I've got an egg wash made up, some breading, got one dill pickle that I've sliced with my mandolin to make it, some thin slices. So I'm going to go ahead and take each of these, basically get it in the breading, then dip it in the bread wash, then in the breading again, then get it on the crisper tray that I'm using from the NuWave Bravo, since that'll work out for air frying in this cooker. And then I'm going to get them all sprayed with some cooking spray. Alright, now that we've got that done, basically going to, let's go, I got a little piece of plastic there for my glove on that pickle there. But I'm going to basically do kind of a preheat and then set it to air fry. Basically going to set it on its bake setting and do a temperature of 425 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to do a cooking time of 10 minutes. Well, we'll do 11 because sometimes the preheat ends and I'm not sure it ended. So just setting it to that, and I'm going to do the convection button just to do the regular convection fan and hit start. And while it's preheating, I'm going to let it preheat. Once it's done preheating and I start to put things in, I'll hit the speed convection, and that way we'll get the true air fryer speed type of fan going for the air fry. And so I'll bring you back in a little bit, but notice how quiet this cooker is. Very quiet. Haven't heard a peep out of it. Alright, the preheat's done. Actually did beep when it got to the end of the preheat time. So it does beep at the end of the preheat. I didn't catch it earlier. But gonna open up. I've got things up on, I got the rack on level 3. So it's on the higher rack there. And so I'm just closing up, and I know it's already cooking. So I'll let it get down to like maybe 6 minutes, and then I'll see about maybe spinning that rack around for even cooking. But I'll bring you back in a moment. We're a couple minutes in, but I forgot to hit the speed convection to speed up that fan a bit. So a couple minutes went through without the speed convection, but now we've got the speed convection going. You can hear that fan. Maybe you can hear it, just a little louder, but still super quiet compared to most any other air fryer, other than maybe the NuWave Bravo, which seems like it's the child of this cooker here. But gonna let this continue to cook for a little bit. Alright, so 5 minutes have passed of the cooking, and so just gonna open up and do a spin. There's no real way to pause with this cooker, so you just kind of got to go and do your thing and close it on up. But you can see it is getting a real air fry in there going on. Kind of hot. Almost touched the top there with my hand. But we'll let this continue to cook, and you see it's doing some real deal air frying. Okay, they've been cooking for 8 minutes and they look done to me. So I'm just going to hit the stop button right there to stop the cook. And you can see they're done. I mean, if I let those go a few more minutes, they would have, had some black on the crust. So this cooked up real fast, and I think it air fried faster than many other air fryers. I think it's faster than the Emeril 360 XL, and definitely faster than the NuWave Bravo. I think this older tech, even though it doesn't regulate the heat well, it lets things cook up a lot faster. That's the underside. There's a little white from where maybe I didn't spray as much cooking spray as I could have to, get things, cooked there. But you see it's all done. It's all done. I'm just going to get you one more. You see how easy they're coming up off the crisper tray? So, no doubt a real deal air fryer, but we'll do a taste test and we'll wrap this up. Alright, so here are the fried pickles. So going to do a taste of one now. You can have a look. Turned out pretty good. One sec while I get a sip. Turned out pretty good though. It did the air frying faster, like I mentioned, than some other air fryer toaster ovens that I've used. I think it's probably because, it's the older cooking tech. It doesn't regulate the heat as well. So it's reaching temperatures way above even where you set it. And so it's just cooking up things way faster. And so for air frying, that's cool. When I don't use the fan, and I do like a bake, like with the croissants, turned out great baking croissants. It can bake. It can do things that require a baker's touch. It's a great baker, as well as a great air fryer. And also it does toast well also. I mean, toast was fairly even for a convection toaster oven. It does everything well. It was made back in 2014 before all this other stuff that we've been buying and getting and checking out. And it's able to do the job real good. So I'm real pleased with this cooker. Now I want to talk about cleaning this cooker. Everything by hand. They recommend that you do everything by hand, nothing at all in a dishwasher. And with any cooker, if you do things by hand, everything's going to last longer anyway. So I think that's sound advice. And this cooker comes with a 3-year warranty, 3-year limited warranty. And as far as cookers go, that's a nice warranty. That's like old school warranty. They don't do 3-year warranties for most cookers these days, So 3 years is a real nice solid warranty. As long as you keep your proof of purchase, you can prove when you bought it so that you get your 3 years from when you purchased it. Because if you don't have your proof of purchase, they're going to count the date that you purchased, the date that they originally started selling this cooker, which passed years ago, and you won't have a warranty. So keep your proof of purchase. And basically with that, if they find that they should repair it, you send it to them. You have to pay the shipping to ship it to them. And it also says in the manual something interesting. This is real old school. Include $10 by check or money order for the return shipping. So you got to pay the shipping to them, plus they ask you to include $10 check or money order to pay for return shipping. We know things cost a lot more than $10 to return ship now, but that's what they wrote in their manual. And so, hey, that's what they're bound by, in my opinion, and I think that's probably the law, but I'm not an attorney, so I won't say it. But you know, hey, I think that's what they've bound themselves to, is 3-year warranty. If you got to get it repaired, you ship it to them, you pay for the shipping and include $10, they'll ship it back. And so, you know, all the same, a 3-year warranty under those terms is still a lot less than getting something like a square trade warranty for 3 years or buying some other warranty service for extending it out for 3 years. It came with that, and you only got to use it if you need it. Usually Cuisinarts are very reliable products, so you might not even use it. So that's the deal with the warranty. And so, you know, you can definitely tell me what you think about it, but you can find plenty of recipes for a lot of these cookers at my blog, superwaveovenrecipes.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at waveovenrecipes. If you ever want to come to this YouTube channel, waveovenrecipes.com will take you right to this YouTube channel. And also, please hit the like button if you like this video. Give it that thumbs up. Share the video with a friend. Leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel. And good eating.